Somewhere right now, someone your age just got the job you wanted, moved to the city you dreamed about, or posted a photo from a life that looks nothing like yours. And your brain already knows about it before you've even finished reading the caption. Here's the number that should stop you cold. Researchers tracking social media use found that the more time people spent scrolling, the worse they felt about their own lives afterward. Not because anything in their life had actually changed, but because their brain had just run a silent comparison against a highlight reel and lost. Not lost the competition, lost without ever agreeing to compete. That's the strange part nobody tells you. You didn't choose this contest. Your brain enters it automatically dozens of times a day, and it almost never mentions the scoreboard is rigged. So let's ask the real question. Why does your brain do this? Why does it keep a running highlight reel of everyone else's best moments, cross-reference it against your own average Tuesday, and hand you a verdict you never asked for? The answer starts with a psychologist named Leon Festinger, who in 1954 proposed something called social comparison theory. The idea decoded simply is this: in the absence of an objective way to measure how you're doing, your brain defaults to measuring you against other people instead. No ruler exists for am I successful? So your brain builds one out of whoever's nearby. For most of human history, nearby meant your actual neighbors, your actual co-workers, the actual family down the street, a few dozen people seen in full good days and bad days both. Now picture what nearby means today. Thumb on glass, scroll. A curated frame from a stranger's best afternoon slides past your eyes every second and a half. Your comparison circuitry, the same ancient system built for a village of 30 people, is now running against a highlight reel curated from millions. Feel the size of that mismatch for a second. The tool wasn't built for this input, and it doesn't know that. It just keeps measuring. Here's where it gets worse. Psychologist Kross ran a study tracking how people felt before and after using Facebook, texting them at random points throughout the day. The pattern that emerged wasn't subtle. The more people used the platform between one check-in and the next, the worse their mood had become by the following check-in. Not a little worse, measurably, repeatedly worse. Sit with what that actually means. This wasn't people who were already unhappy going online to distract themselves. The unhappiness was being manufactured in real time by the scrolling itself. Every scroll is a tiny transaction. You hand over a few seconds of attention. Your brain hands back a verdict about your own life, compared to a version of someone else's life that was filtered, cropped, and chosen specifically because it was their best 5 seconds out of an entire day. You're not comparing your life to their life. You're comparing your whole life to their highlight reel. And somehow, every single time, you lose that comparison because it was never a fair one to begin with. Here's the assumption you've probably never said out loud, because it feels too obvious to question, that if you just saw enough of other people's success, you'd eventually be motivated by it, inspired even. That watching someone else win would somehow help you win too. That assumption is backwards. Psychologist Sonja Lyubomirsky's research on happiness and social comparison found the opposite pattern. Upward comparisons watching people who seem to be doing better than you don't reliably motivate people. They deflate them. The emotional cost lands before any motivational benefit even has a chance to show up, which means the version of you that scrolls through other people's wins, hoping to get inspired, is running an experiment that behavioral science has already run for you, and the results already came back negative. Now picture the exact moment this usually happens. Not some dramatic low point, something smaller and more ordinary than that. You're lying in bed at 11 p.m., phone brightness cutting through the dark room thumb, moving before your brain has even fully engaged. And somewhere around the seventh or eighth post, your chest tightens just slightly, almost too small to notice, like the air in the room got a little heavier. That tightening isn't random. That's your ancient comparison circuitry firing off a verdict using data it was never built to process about a life. It's seeing maybe 1% of. Here's the twist that changes everything. The problem was never that other people are doing well. Their success was never actually about you. Their highlight reel is not a referendum on your life. It's just the 5 best seconds someone chose to keep out of the roughly 86,000 seconds in their day, and your brain has been treating those 5 seconds like a full, honest sample. It isn't one. It was never designed to be one. Once you see that something shifts, the comparison doesn't feel less automatic. Your brain will still run it every time because that circuitry isn't going anywhere. But you can start noticing the moment it fires and naming what it actually is. Not evidence that you're behind, just an ancient measuring tool mismeasuring a highlight reel it was never built to read. Think about the last time you closed an app feeling smaller than when you opened it. Nothing about your actual life had changed in those 10 minutes. Your job was the same job. Your relationships were the same relationships. The only thing that happened was that your brain ran a comparison against curated data and handed you a verdict built on a rigged sample size of 1. The highlight reel was never lying to you exactly. It just never claimed to be the whole story. You're the one who kept reading it as one. So the next time you feel that small tightening in your chest mid-scroll at 11 at night in a room lit only by a phone screen, you can ask yourself a different question. Not, why am I not there yet? But, what percentage of that person's actual day am I even looking at right now? Somewhere right now, someone is living an ordinary, unfiltered, unremarkable moment. So are you. Yours just isn't the one getting posted.